Okay, so we are live. We have 17 people coming in soon. This is awesome. My name's Naomi Tran. I am part of Futureology, the college and career counseling program for Capistrano Unified School District. I am going to wait for a couple of more people to join us, but we are so excited that you guys are here. We have an amazing panel for our business webinar. For my panelists, can you guys just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and see me? I'm waiting for Bing to give me a heads up. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, good. So we're going to wait for 1 or 2 more minutes. For those that are just joining us in right now, if you guys can actually say hello in the chat box, that would be great, just so that I know that you guys can hear me and see me. I am also having Jen, our college and career counselor, who is going to be helping us with any, troubleshooting. So if you need help with any of that, she will be probably directing you on like refreshing your browser. Just try to make sure that your browser is updated. Chrome, Safari seems to be working well with other people. But yes, thank you guys. Hi, Cassidy. Hi, Adam. Christopher. Awesome. There's so many people here. Awesome. Okay, I think I'm going to wait a couple of more seconds and then we can get started. All right. Well, I'll start an introduction of, who I am. Like I said, I am Naomi Tran. I am the college and career counselor with CUSD-Futureology. We've been around for 3 years. I'm very excited for you all to be here because we do have an amazing panel So You Want to Be in Business. If this is your first time hearing about Futureology, I'll share a little bit about who we are and what we do. In our slide, you could see our website and just what we do. We do provide one-on-one counseling for high school students and also group workshops. There's going to be a lot of events, webinars, workshops that you can do. Our main office is at the Shops of Mission Viejo Mall. So that is something that you can do. You can check our appointment page on all of our events and our appointments. I'll talk a little bit more about our upcoming events at the end of our presentation. I just want to make sure that we spend some time with our panel here today. So you guys will definitely get a chance to ask your questions and learn more about Futureology too. Okay. But yes, so thank you for my panelists for being here today. I'm really grateful for you guys to take your time and just your kind heart of giving back to our community. Before we just jump in, I do want to ask and take a poll of who is in our audience. I think it just gives us an idea if we're talking to freshmen, sophomores, juniors, or seniors. So I'm going to start a poll that says, what grade level are you in? If you are a parent, go ahead and select the grade level that your student is in. Okay, we got lots of freshmen, juniors, some middle school, awesome, lots of juniors. Great, this is exciting. Okay, thank you guys. Awesome. Okay, so now with that we know who is in our audience, I'm going to just do a quick run through of our agenda today and just some housekeeping rules. How the night is going to look. I'm going to be asking a series of moderated questions to our panel. However, again, you guys can use the chat box to ask your questions. If for some reason we're unable to address the question right away, please wait for the Q&A time. We'll leave about 10 to 15 minutes towards the end. So we'll have about 50 minutes with our panel with the moderated questions and then Q&A time afterwards. So again, you can send a question directly to a panelist if you wanted to, or you can just send it to everyone in the chat box. There's like 3 dots that you can use as a drop down. You can also mark your questions so that we know that it is a question that we need to answer later on. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I want to introduce our panel. So our first panel list is a parent that is part of CUSD. He actually has a student here, and I love that we have amazing parents that are wanting to give back to our community. He actually started his first company at 17 and has created a staffing company within the healthcare industry. He now owns his own business and insurance and financial services. So please welcome Joel Samuels. Joel, can you go ahead and say hi to everyone?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Yay.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Awesome. No, I'm going to have you guys share about yourselves after I do a brief introduction. Awesome. So our next person or panel is a good friend of mine. He always has amazing stories to share. He started actually his journey initially pursuing dentistry, but realized his passion was working with cars. So he switched his career full speed with working with cars, getting a sponsorship with Subaru to race on the car tracks, which is pretty awesome. Now he is a fixed operation director at OC Acura Group, where he's in charge of the logistical support for marketing and service sales. He also plays a role in the mentor internship program with nearby high schools and community colleges like Saddleback College, and offers student mentorship and internships to explore the automotive industry. So please go ahead and welcome Ferdy. Ferdy, can you go ahead and say hello? Yay. I'm actually going to turn off my camera so you guys can see them a little bit bigger. So bear with me. Oh, the same. Never mind. So the next panel of mine is also another really good friend of mine. She is a commodity manager for a large global medical manufacturing company that focuses on advancing and optimizing devices in laboratories that supports doctors and patients every day. When she's not working, she's volunteering her time to pressing issues like human trafficking, foster youth in Orange County with the Women's Volunteer Nonprofit Organization. So again, please welcome Stephanie White. Steph, can you say hello? Yay, awesome. Thank you for being here. And our very last panelist is someone who I went to high school with, and we both graduated at the same time at Aliso Nagel. He was loved by all students and parents. We all knew that he would do something great after high school, and sure enough, he did. He was the founding architect of the multi-billion-dollar digital influencer ecosystem as YouTube's global head of creator development and management, where he was responsible for the global program strategy that elevated more than 500 million content creators. So all of us I know are using YouTube today and just watching every video that we can see. So please welcome Bing Chen. So everyone say hello. Bing, can you say hi? Yay, awesome.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, so I know you guys are so eager to have me to stop talking and ask those questions for our panelists. So I'm going to do a round robin for you guys. The first question, Bing, maybe you can start. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and just describe your previous and present experience within the business industry?
Sure. Happy to be here, y'all. I promise Naomi I'll try my best not to curse. I spent high school, as Naomi mentioned, in the OC. I work in digital media as an entrepreneur and investor. I assure you that is not a euphemism for unemployed. I guess the philosophical desire to help anyone discover their purpose in life, which is soft and BSy as that sounds, I think we can all agree is humanity's greatest challenge. And so with that in mind, after graduating college, I went to Google, where I effectively built most of the creator services worldwide for YouTube. What that pragmatically means is any creator you watch, so filmmakers, musicians, comedians, and so forth, their ability to broadcast to now 72 countries, monetize, and improve the quality of their content. Most of those programs were my babies. Of course, the mission there is how do you help people that are sort of self-expressed and self-actualized. Today, I run a $100 million investment fund. We also incubate our own original companies. So it's nice to be able to give out money and make friends that way, but also do real work and not just give out money. On the side, I also serve on the board of and advise a litany of companies. I'm a board director of Google's multicultural board, on Snapchat's incubator, as well as on the largest cannabis new media company. Sorry if that's inappropriate. And I'm very active in the Asian community.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Bing. And for our audience, again, I know he has tons of experience and brought things up. So remember to ask your questions if you want to talk about his stuff in the past or in present. So yes, awesome. Ferdy, did you want to go next? Oh, Ferdy, can you turn on your mic?
My name is Ferdy. I pursued dentistry through family pressure, like most of us Asian people. Decided that after I graduated and started practicing that I didn't like what I was doing, so I had the opportunity to actually race cars. I transitioned to racing cars for about 8 years and to be a part of a business. And so I took that opportunity to gain access to a dealership role. I started that business for 4 years and sold that business, and now I'm the fixed operations director for a bigger group called Orange Coast Auto Group.
Oh, I said it wrong.
So,
Thank you, Ferdy. Joel, did you want to go ahead and start next and share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure.
And of course, definitely talk more about your, how you started your, business when you were 17.
Yeah. I think when I was probably a junior or senior in high school, I read the book Think and Grow Rich. And it's a timeless classic. I probably read it 4 or 5 times since then. But it just allows your brain to kind of creatively think about opportunities and see the world where, where those opportunities are. And started this is the 80s, so excuse me, people, a mobile auto detail company that was successful, worked my way through college that way, went to the University of Colorado in Boulder, and then moved back to Costa Mesa, where I'm from. And a variety of kind of odd jobs, was able to get hooked up with Jamba Juice. We opened our 27th store. And then by the time I left, we had 720 stores and we're a publicly traded company. So that was a pretty successful endeavor. Transitioned that into a healthcare staffing company. We did per diem work for radiology techs in Orange County. So Mission Hospital, West Med, Santa Ana, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome.
And then found the opportunity to be with State Farm and be an agent and have my own business selling.
Can I ask, how did you get decided to transition in that field?
It like a lot of things in life, sometimes we fall upon things accidentally and we just say yes to opportunities. An old neighbor of mine was an executive with State Farm. I was looking for a new opportunity as the market recession happened in 2008, 2009. He said, "Hey, this is an opportunity that I might have." We talked about it. I did my research, my homework, and went on board. It was almost accidental.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
Steph, would you like to go ahead and share just about, yourself and just your experience within the business industry? Steph is the one person that actually majored in business for us, so we would love to hear about it.
Sure. So I did major in business. I came out of high school and said, I want to go into business because I think that eventually I'd like to own my own business. I went in being a business major, business management major, and I took a supply chain management class as a requirement and learned that, man, I really understand this stuff. My first job out when I turned 16 was actually working for my dad in inventory management. So I started to understand it and taking the class on it. And so I did a double major and majored in supply chain management and business management. And I'm actually doing what I majored in school. And it's very exciting for me being able to take what I learned in school and then apply it actually into what I do every day for work.
Okay, awesome. I think I'm going to go back with you, Steph, just because I know that you do have a slide of just sort of describing, what you do on a day-to-day basis. What are your, I guess, responsibilities within your field or just within your business in general? Because I know that everyone is in business, but it's a whole different, industry. We got automotive, we got medical, we got insurance, we got entertainment. So yeah, please share a little bit about your role and about your company.
Sure. So I am a commodity manager. So that's a fancy way of saying that I manage suppliers. So I'm not sure if you're able to share the slides now or if you want to share them later. Okay.
Go ahead. Let's do that.
It helps a little bit to describe what I do. So if we look here, I put a couple slides here just to help a visual aid. So my company manufactures the instruments and that do the diagnostics when you go into a doctor. So when you go into the doctor and they draw your blood, and you do anything from a panel of your glucose, your sugars and such like that, all the way up to cancer. So they're testing for different things. So this is an example here on the screen of what a automated laboratory would look like. So they take your blood sample and they put it into different instruments depending on what they're looking for. So your blood sample may go from one instrument all the way through all of these instruments here. So there's a couple call outs here of what the instruments look like just for reference. So how do I come into that? So if Naomi, you don't mind going to the next slide here. I am a supplier manager, so I do supplier management. So I specialize in packaging and plastics. So what we just saw on the right-hand side was a customer laboratory. So if you look upstream of the chain, my company, Beckman Coulter, which is in the bottom right-hand corner, and we procure parts that are made from plastic. For instance, if we look here, there is a sample cup. Well, that sample cup is where they mix your blood with different types of chemicals to tell you what's going on with your blood. I work with the suppliers that make those types of pieces, anything from a bottle to a sample cup to a instrument front piece. So I manage those suppliers. Those suppliers then are getting their material, which is called resin in the bottom left-hand corner here. And then the resin comes from oil. So when you look at all of it, you're essentially looking at a supply chain. And I manage the entire supply base that produces all of our plastic pieces globally. So I hope that isn't confusing.
No, was really helpful. That's yeah, I love that. I'll definitely ask more questions about what you do too. But I'll go ahead and ask Ferdy just a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like as well. Thank you.
Okay. Does that go on?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Fixed Operations Director is what my title is now. So I pretty much handle and manage all the parts that come in through a dealership, all the service that come in through a dealership, all the marketing that goes on with the dealership. So any given day, we service about 150 to 200 cars. All those cars need parts. All those parts are put on by mechanics, of course, you guys all know. So I make that system happen and kind of help coordinate that. Any given day, we're probably at least putting in one motor to, 5 motors a day in a new car. So
awesome. For Bing, can we sort of ask you, what does your day-to-day look like too for someone who's running their own business? Just sort of getting an idea for those that are interested in like the entrepreneurship. And Joel, I would love to hear your perspective too.
It's more project-based. So generally speaking, any given day in the morning, we go over sort of, team goals, investments, and then some of our sort of individual incubated company reviews. In the afternoon, it's almost always meeting with different people. This is probably rude to say, but your brain is more tired and less effective in the afternoon. So we tend to take our meetings that are easier later in the day. Yeah, and then like of course, like we all know, like there's no such thing as work-life balance, but holistic balance in life is still important. So, we go to the gym and meditate, eat well, all that sort of thing. Call my mother,
Yeah.
tell her I love her, all that.
Nice. Joel, did you want to sort of share any I guess things, well, yeah, for anyone who's wanting to go into business, like what are those skills that you're going to need, or what are those challenges that happen when you are working within your business or working within a very large company?
Challenges are challenges are everywhere. On a daily basis, I'm managing my team. I've got 5 employees. My sales staff is busy trying to generate and create new customers. My service people are retaining and helping people, and then obviously we're always marketing. So, being an entrepreneur is a lot like swimming laps in a pool, but there are people on the side of the pool throwing in chairs. So you have to. I think some of the harder things is just maintaining your focus and understanding what the long-term goals are. Try and create some intermediate goals and be able to manage and measure your team to them. So so it's always hard because there's always a fire, but you have to maintain some long-term perspective.
Awesome. Thank you. I guess for everyone, what kind of educational and training experience do you think you would need within your line of work? Is it really necessary to have a business degree? What kind of recommendations would you tell a high school student or even a college student getting ready for it for your job?
Honestly, from my perspective, I have a degree in psychology. And I think any practical business experience is helpful. Not only helpful, it's required. You just have to through your own work experience. But I think, just my own personal opinion, when we look at the job landscape, future job landscape, and how education plays a big part in that, I personally would focus on fields of study that could be applied specifically to a future goal. Maybe stay away from art history. Personally, if you're going to spend $40,000 on an education, you might want to be a little more focused. That's just my, adult opinion.
Thank you.
My 50-year-old opinion. Right?
No, it's very helpful. How about everyone else? Just about education and training experience. What do you think would be, helpful in your line of work?
All right, I'll go. So I think 2 things, and I'll be the contrarian here just to provide a balancing perspective. So I majored in creative writing, which is analogous to art history and its uselessness at face value. And I spent actually $55,000 a year at Penn doing so. So I'm twice as bad. But I think the lesson here is one, and this is empirically true. Your major increasingly does not matter and has very little correlation with what you actually professionally do, period. This trend really started in 2003, 2004. And even, despite the largest economic recession in our history, it still holds true. And so I'd say, generally speaking, find not necessarily what you love, but how you think and what will help mold you. I like creative writing just because I really like taking abstraction and making it useful. So how do you make a poem matter? It is absolutely what informed, the creation of my work at YouTube, which is the largest creative economy since the advent of cable TV. So that would be one. Your major really doesn't matter. Just do, what you love, but more importantly, what will mold you. I think the second piece that the gentleman before me said that is critical, though, is you can't just rely on, on our history major and English major, right? To be candid, I don't think I would have gotten into Google's executive management program if I was, quote, just a creative writing major, right? I think having real functional skills to balance that is not just important in college, but it's important in life. You can't just be a soft skill person. You also have to have hard functional skills. And so to that end, whether it's investing in meaningful extracurriculars that are analogous or endemic to the industry you want to pursue. Example, I interned at the Walt Disney Company twice, or, starting your own business alongside, or being really active in extracurriculars that align with your functional interests. All those things are equally critical to what you do inside the classroom.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I think that's why I was so excited to have this panel, because all of you guys really majored in different things. Our high school students are, stressing out like, oh, I want to go in business, but I don't really know what field. It's so critical for me to, find that specific major. But I think that just seeing right here, you guys are doing or studying the things that you love and still are successful in your business. I love that. Steph and Ferdy, would you want to chime in with that question?
Sure. I agree with being completely well-rounded, because I think that helps you drive where your passion is. I think for some fields you do probably need some educational background for it. For instance, in my field, I rely, when I first started out, I did rely on what I learned in school, especially around procurement and around how to build a strategy for what I do. But I also, as being said, there were many other aspects to my life in school, being involved in, for instance, I was in the Italian club. I did, I was in a sorority, etc. So there's aspects of it, though, that keep you driving to what you want to do, as well as having a formal education behind it to maybe fall back on. If there's if you're looking at business and if you're starting a company, maybe you have some experience in finance where you understand P&Ls. So then that way you can apply that to what you're doing in creating a business and have a little bit of that education behind it.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome. Freddie, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, in the automotive industry, you don't necessarily need an education background on automotive. You don't need a college degree. However, it does help, especially if you want to get in the corporate world of things. In order for you to work for one of the manufacturers, one of the entry requirements is that you need to have a degree. However, work experience can be just as good. I hired a ton of mechanics who were backyard mechanics, or who decided they want to work on their own cars, and I train them. I put them to go through school. I sent them to Acura to learn how to wrench on engines and transmissions. So you don't necessarily need to get an education right there. You just got to figure out what you really want to do and focus on that.
That's great. And for the students that are out there, we always are encouraging you to try things right now in high school. Yes, taking challenging courses are definitely important, but it's just as important to expose yourself with all sorts of activities, things at school, things out of school, so that you can test what are the things that you like, the things that you realize, hey, I'm really good at too. Thank you for that. Let's just sort of take a little spin of a fun question. Did you guys have any influential mentor during your career journey, and who and how did they influence you in your life?
Well, I had an 8th grade English teacher that became a mentor to me. And one moment that stands out in the back of my head is I kept in touch with her throughout high school, kept in touch with her throughout college. We'd have lunch dates where I could talk about what I'm looking to do and how school's going. But I think the moment that stands out to me the most was when I was at a fork in the road of deciding, do I go into business or do I go into teaching? I had an opportunity to go into teaching, and I was also weighing this job opportunity with business. My background, again, is in business, but I have a passion for being able to teach. So she sat me down and we talked really, what does the economy look like, and where would I be able to grow and flourish more, as well as having a more successful career in a sense. So it was beneficial to be able to have someone that was with me throughout the process of high school, with me throughout the process of college, and then being able to sit down at the end of my college career and talk about and weigh all the options of going one direction or going another direction. So I think if you have someone in your life that you are able to build that relationship with, that can become that mentor, or really someone that is another ear to listen to as you're processing your own thoughts and your own path.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Does anyone want to share about their mentor?
I would just kind of dovetail with that. Not necessarily about any specific mentors that I've had. I've had a few, and particularly the older I get, the more valued those relationships I find become. But while you're going into university, I would say make sure that your teachers know who you are. Go to their office hours, develop relationships. You're going to need some of their experience, and they're going to be honest. And a lot of times, as you get out of if you're applying to graduate school or anything like that, you're going to need recommendations. So when you have those good relationships with some of your professors, I would really highly recommend taking advantage of that.
I love that. I totally agree. Anyone wanted to chime in on that? If not, then I can go on to the next question.
I can share some advice I was given that I always found really sage. So there are two types of mentors. There's the people that you aspire to be and the people who know what you aspire to be. And this was really important because I think when I was really young, I gravitated towards people. I called the chairman of Disney and we became good friends. Yeah, I called all these other people. But what I quickly realized is like their paths were not mine. And I actually didn't want to be who they were once I actually learned what they did. And so it's actually, I think a lot of us gravitate towards like, oh, Elon Musk is the man outside of his misogyny. Like I want to be Elon up to him. And that can be very dangerous because that puts you in a specific path that may have never been destined for you, or a path that is just so off the beaten path. There's actually no structured system that can enable another to sort of forge it. And so I think the second kind of mentor is actually more important. The best example, and this is going to sound like I'm being sycophantic, but the second mentor is actually your parents. But it's the type of mentor who's willing to not only be successful, but actually look inside you and see what you really want and challenge you and mold you to become that thing. These mentors are much harder to find because the most successful people are extremely busy. And this obviously takes more time. The second thing is obviously they have to believe in you as an individual. But I have a couple of these, luckily, but one of them is my exec coach, Joe Mullen. He also coaches like Larry Ellison and a bunch of others. But I like him because he's really tough love. So like the Asian Southern in me, like only responds to like verbal spanking, like I don't do well with coddling. And he does that. He's the person who will say, Bing, you're wasting your time. Like you're acting like a baby right now, or things like that. And it's really hard to find people who I think honestly respect you enough to put you down in that way. And so again, I would just really encourage everyone, find the people you aspire to be, but I think even more importantly, find the people who actually invest in you. And those are the ones that are the real keepers.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. And I think with our 9th graders and 10th graders, they are taking assessments. So our students are taking assessments and trying to figure them out. And the next step that we ask them to do is informational interviewing. And this is why we sort of have that panel. You guys have to have like that, get out of your comfort zone of talking to professionals or just even starting off with parents. That could be really helpful too. So thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, some of you guys are hiring people, what kind of skills and abilities or just personalities or attributes are you looking for when within your field? Just so that they can have a sense of, hey, what kind of skills can I be working right now within high school or in middle school?
Someone that's self-motivated.
Self-motivated. Anybody else?
You can teach people a lot of things, but you can't teach integrity. You can't teach enthusiasm and charisma. Some people have great charisma, and when you're dealing with people in public, if you're in a sales position, it's something that's really necessary. If you're going more of a technical aspect, certainly different skill sets there, but nothing replaces great integrity.
Love that.
And I think it's also important for people to come in wanting to learn and willing to do what it takes to actually grow in that industry. I have a lot of applicants who come in thinking they're going to be making $1,000 within first offer, very first job. Some people just need to be a little more humble about basically where they're at and how they're going to learn. So me as when I was an owner of the dealership, I would pick up trash. I would do what it takes to make the dealership look great. And now as a fixed operations director, I still pick up the trash. I will get someone coffee, a customer coffee if they need it. And some people just don't feel that that's in their job description. Those are people that I don't want working for me.
Thank you. Bing, would you want to say anything on that end?
No, I agree with all the above. I think, I
Okay.
mean, everyone has a gazillion criteria, but I found it ultimately comes down to two things. One is, the self initiative starting, or being able to be really versatile in what you can do. And then the second is not to be a jerk.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous how critical culture is to a company. It
Mm.
literally is half the equation. It's the difference between speaking respectfully to others. It's the difference between having a Me Too culture and one that does not condone that behavior, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
I agree with those.
Awesome. Just if you can go back in time, what kind of advice would you give your high school self? You know, if you had regretted any stuff and you wished you had done things differently, what kind of advice would you have given yourself or just a high school student in general?
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
No, take advantage of every opportunity. Kiss the girl.
Definitely keep working, keep going, and I completely agree with Joel with take every opportunity.
Mm. Well, I think our students have a lot of pressure right now of, feeling like colleges are, needing these challenging courses, AP courses, IB courses. How would you recommend someone to have a balance between their classwork and still making sure that they have time to explore their interests and take on challenges like you guys are suggesting?
I think they're going to have to learn to take things one step at a time, make a plan for themselves and how they're going to tackle it. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't shut down and don't give up, like Stephanie said.
Hmm. Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I think on the one end, and this will sound like an adult speaking to everyone, but people just need to chill out. You just need to breathe and relax. And I think I remember I was told this, and Naomi knows, like, we went to high school together. Like, we were all very ambitious, doing everything, president of every club. So, like, we get it. Like, I got a 1520 on my SAT, 804 SAT. Like, we all get it.
Yeah, that was you, not me.
That's all good. Honestly, and by the way, those tests don't even matter. So, I shouldn't say that probably. But like the reality is, I think the piece of advice I was given from my mother that she might have gotten from somewhere else is, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter now. And I think that context actually helps you breathe a little bit more, because what you'll find is actually most things in high school don't actually matter, right? Certainly most things in middle school don't matter. Middle school is the worst years of everyone's life, by the way.
Oh, no.
But I think, and that's true, right? It's like, hormones and
Yeah.
stuff. But no, I think, again, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter now. And one grade and one SAT is not going to screw you forever. I got this is embarrassing to say, but I got 1 B+ in my high school career and, like, cried over it, like, for years. That shit does not matter. It really doesn't. And so that's number one. I think the second thing, though, to what Stephanie said, is you got to put in the work too. And even to an extent, you almost have to tune out a lot of naysayers, even if they're your parents sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. And so I'll give you one example. I am the worst test taker in the world, for sure. I overthink everything. I can't concentrate. I hate tests. I always suffer through them. But I was also, I always put in context that at the time SATs really mattered. And so luckily I had the support system of my mom, but I worked my butt off for 3 months straight, which in the grand scheme of things is nothing. And again, got a 1520. I have 4 800s under my belt. And that's in unheard of territory, right? And so if someone like me, who can't focus and who sucks at test taking, can do that, like, any of you can do anything. You just got to put your mind to it, right? You just got to put in the work. And I think the hard thing, especially with high school, is it's such a show off culture, right? Like, if you're not speaking about it, you don't get an award for it. Like, it doesn't exist. All that's BS. Right. Most of the hard work, everyone knows, happens, behind closed doors, in your bedroom, with the light on, late in the night, that no one sees. Right. That's when the real work happens. And I think, if you really want something, you just got to put in the work. And there's no other secret. There's no secret formula. There's no drug you can take. Don't do drugs. There's no food. There's no mentor. There's nothing. It comes down to you, as Stephanie said, doing the work, period. And that's it. It's as simple as that.
Awesome. Thank you. And I completely agree. We are having students and parents coming in like, what's the best fit college or what's the best fit career for me? And they expect sometimes the counselor to just have that right answer. And that also takes time. It takes time. It takes time to research. It takes time to experience things so that you could figure out who you are, what you like, as well as also trying to find a college that really works and it's going to help you to excel in your goals, in your personal goals, and into your career goals. So I love that you said that, because we also reiterate that every single time, not only with classwork, college search, and career search. So thank you. I am going to go ahead and open it up to our students and our parents here. This is the chance for you guys to just ask your questions. If you guys are shy, you can text me or message us privately, but I would love for you guys to go ahead and ask some of your questions that you have. If you have a specific question for someone, just let us know who, and that would be awesome. So don't be shy. This is your opportunity to go ahead and ask your questions. Anybody out there? I'm still here, by the way. Anybody? I had some questions from our Google forum. So, we have Trevor who has a question right here. So I guess, Trevor, I hope you don't mind. I'm reading this. I'm a sophomore in College of Business at Cal Poly SLO, and I'm deciding between majors in information systems or managing and finance. My hesitation is what finance is rumored to be a dying industry, especially in the terms of portfolio management and other investments. If you were in my position, what would you do? Even though you mentioned earlier that your major is increasingly less indicative of your job.
I'm in finance as well. I have my Series 6, 63, 65. I think if you really enjoy, portfolio management, finance is great, and there are a lot of different things that you can do with it. It is, what's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years? I don't know. AI really kind of replaces a lot of that asset allocation management, maybe. I don't know. But if one of your other opportunities is IS, I think we have another panel member that could speak more highly about that, but that's what I would say.
That's awesome. Anyone want to chime in on that? We also have another question.
I don't know.
He started with.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I don't know if finance is necessarily a dying industry, only in the aspect that everything runs off of finance. Since it does control the overall, or not control necessarily, but it is the background of the economy, in maybe different areas of finance, depending on what you're looking to go into. Information systems, though, you can go into computer, IT, etc., depending on what you're looking for that, and that is a growing industry. It's really, I think I would say, more of where you have more of an interest, where you could drive yourself to be more motivated. If you're motivated by looking at numbers, then potentially that could be more of a finance. If you're maybe more of a problem solver and looking for that you have a better passion, I guess, in that in problem solving, then maybe information systems would be more of your way, because it's a different challenge versus a numbers type challenge. Naomi, we can't hear you.
Oh, Bing, did you want to say something else to that? No? Okay. Christopher had a question. Other than mentors, what other aspects pushed you to keep to where you are now? So, Christopher, did you have that for
I think there are two. Sorry, my computer sucks. It's being hacked by Russians. So no, I think it's two things. I think one, and this goes back to the previous question, you got to know what you really want, right? It's really easy to think about your career in terms of jobs. So I'm going to go to college, major in this, get this job, which then becomes this when it's promoted in 3 years and so forth. And it's a really toxic way to think about your life, because then you're basically subsuming yourself into someone else's system. And as history has shown, especially recent history, a lot of those systems don't even exist anymore. right? Like Uber as an institution did not exist 10 years ago, right? And so I think instead of thinking of your career and jobs, you got to think about your career in terms of end state. So who do you want to be and what do you want to become? So that's number one. There's a whole bunch of exercises and books out there that can help you figure it out. Some of them are more BSy than others. But that's number one. I think the second thing is something that Naomi and Stephanie said earlier, which is you just got to try, right? The beauty of a lot of you and also the challenge is a lot of your jobs that you're going to be pursuing don't even exist today, right? And so to that end, there's actually no mentor or no lesson or no school or major that will teach you or prepare you. You just got to ride on like, your self-starting initiative taking discipline. And so to that end, I think, being brave enough is, he said earlier, Mr. Jamba Juice, by the way, I'm the biggest fan of Jamba Juice in the world. But like, what Mr. Jamba Juice said earlier of you just got to try and be brave enough to try is really, really critical. And, as a parent, I know that can be scary because the last thing you want to see is your child suffer. But, as you, I think, you and we all have experienced, it really is the only way to uncover what you really want. So I think those are the only two others.
Awesome. Thank you. Great. There is another question for you, Bing. But for anyone with insight, I'm a junior in high school and I'd like to ultimately end up in a field that combines a business background with entertainment industry. How did you find the entertainment/business was the best field for you? And how did you go about breaking into succeeding in that field?
So I think this actually touches the other two. So maybe we can ask all the panelists, how did you discover like what your purpose in life was? And then how does that align with your job? Maybe I think having everyone's perspective would be valuable. So mine was, I did this hokey exercise that I was taught by the head of the Wharton Executive Education School. I think he's dead now. But anyway, the net of the exercise was I get excited about helping to emotionally impact people that then has practical ramifications on their lives. So a specific example is, if I want to like hype myself up, I listen to Tupac Changes. I can't explain to you why that happens. It just happens, right? My favorite movie in the world is Beauty and the Beast. Like, it brings me to tears and taught me everything I know about like human compassion in life. Like, why is it a soft Disney animated film? I don't know. It just is, right? And so my dream was like, all right, how do I take all these different pieces, whether it's a film, a music, or a music soundtrack or whatever have you, compartmentalize them, and then help to systematically alter people's life trajectories, whether it's they become the first person to attend college or pursue a certain job, et cetera. And so my hero, going back to the end state, is therefore Walt Disney. No one does that better, period, outside of maybe him and Oprah, right? And so everything I've done, even how I structured the YouTube stuff, was all my deck was actually called Walt Disney in 2010 when I got there, right? And so that's how I figured it out. It was what is the qualitative mission? How does that practically manifest in terms of some kind of idol? And I just tried a bunch of stuff. The other thing I didn't mention is I'm very grateful for interning at Disney, but something I learned very quickly is in the traditional media system, you effectively are a servant until you're 30, and then maybe you'll be a manager. And I was just not down with that. And so that's honestly the reason I chose Google for YouTube, is because I saw YouTube as becoming the 21st century articulation of a Walt Disney company, except it had the latitude of a role that really at the time a 22-year-old didn't deserve, and served me well. So that's how. But curious how everyone else figured out their stuff too.
Yes, we'd love to hear that. Thank you, Bing.
I think indirectly, maybe just to say about the entertainment industry, it's all about relationships, and definitely network, whether it's through LinkedIn or whether through it's all the social media platforms that they have these days. Just really try and develop relationships, no matter how hard that seems. But most of the opportunities that I've ever had in life were because I knew somebody, and through conversation. It's like, hey, I have this opportunity. Oh, that sounds great. That's totally my skill set, and I'm down for that challenge. So maybe that would be my answer to Talia. And then in Bing, I think it's the really understanding what's fulfilling for you. For me, I like helping people. Yeah. When people are in a jam, I like helping people. If someone wants to figure out how to plan for retirement, I like helping. And that's just sort of my gig. So that's how I spend my day.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think to bounce off that just a little bit too, with it's who you know, and it's if you meet someone, keep in contact with them. If you meet someone at a lecture, you meet someone in passing while you're at school, even at college, is really keep in contact with them, follow up with them, maybe go get coffee every once in a while. So then that way, when you get out of school and you're looking to be in the entertainment business or any other industry, really, you have already a connection that might be able to point you to other people. And eventually those other people might become your mentors. You never know what someone might be able to do for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Ferdy, how about you? Because I know that, with your backstory, I wanted to have the students learn a little bit more about you and what got you to the point where you're like, you know what, dentistry is not for me, and I wanted to pursue my passion. How did you get there? What were you thinking mentally, I guess?
I don't think I was thinking in high school. I was just kind of under the pressure of my mom. My family was either you were a doctor, you were an engineer, or you were part of the family business. And so at the time, I knew that I didn't want to become a medical doctor just because you didn't have time for yourself. I had plenty of aunts and cousins that were medical doctors who never got to spend time with their family. So then I pursued the dentistry and went through the process. And in high school, I said, Mom, I'm going to become a dentist. And I took my SATs, went through the whole process of applying for undergrad and studied, really hard for my undergrad school and got into graduate school. And at that point, I kind of knew I didn't want to become a dentist, but I put in so much invested so much money already that I didn't have a choice. And so I found myself graduating from dental school and got a big bonus to sign on for a private practice and practice for 2 years. Then had an opportunity, like Stephanie said, that basically keep in touch with who you meet in the past. Be nice. Don't be a jerk, because these people can come out and hand you something that you may not deserve. So I got the opportunity to actually basically race cars, and I was racing go-karts when I was young. So I said, hey, practice dentistry, work on people's mouth who hate, or drive cars and you get lots. So I chose driving cars. So I did that for a while and made a good living out of it. And eventually I got the opportunity to be part of a dealership. So I took the opportunity. Again, be nice to the people you meet, because they may hand you something you don't necessarily deserve.
Was it hard?
I did work hard. I did work hard, and I kept my focus. We made a ton of money, and that's partly the reason why I'm in the automotive industry. It's a great way to make good money, and it's interesting. Every day is different. I've had druggies come in and offer me all kinds of things. I've had Ben Stiller come in and buy a car from us. So every day is a little different, and it can be exciting.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you for your story. Awesome. You guys, it is past 50 minutes. I don't know if any other student or parent would like to ask some more questions. This is there we go. Ferdy. Trevor is also saying I'm a huge gearhead, so I was encouraged to see that's are ways that you can find a way to turn your passions into a career. What kind of opportunities would you see opening up in the coming years? And how can someone like me position myself to take advantage of them? And what kind of paths do you see in this industry?
So I think it depends on what part of the automotive industry you want to be in. Do you want to be in racing? Do you want to be in the fixed operation or the finance side of the operations? It's a big industry, and I can't say that it's constantly growing. It's changing. It's evolving with all the AI that's going on. Autonomous driving. Pretty soon, people are not going to be driving their own cars anymore. Cars are getting very efficient. So but there are a ton of cars out there. We project that we're going to have another 27% growth next year, in California at least. So yeah, it's a huge industry. So it all depends on what part of the industry you want to get into, or what part of that automotive program you want to get into.
Just going off, since I know that you have like a partnership within the Newport Mesa High School, I believe, and then within the community college, how does a student get into that kind of program? What would they need to do?
So with Coastline, we're involved with the ROP program where we teach kids, the basics of working on their car. Either that's hold on.
And we also want to know what car is that behind you, because it looks fancy. Uh-oh. There's that car.
Sorry, I was in my garage working out, so anyways, it's an Alfa Romeo Stevio. But anyways, get back to the point is we do internship with Coastline with the ROP. We teach the kids how to work on their own cars. We have a lot of kids in the program who, just want to work on their mom's car or their dad's car just to help out the family, and we'll do that. Teach them how to change brakes. What timing belt looks like. Some of our cars, we do a lot of modifications at our dealership as well. So we'll put lift kits and wheels and tires and turbos and superchargers on Jeeps and Subarus and Acuras as well.
Awesome.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said, even is this good experience to have, even if you want to work in management or finance within the automotive industry, or even marketing and sales, having those kind of technical skills, working on cars, is that something that you appreciate when someone's going into a higher position like yours?
Absolutely. I think cross-training is always good to be more well-rounded. Mm-hmm. I think that's why CrossFit in that wellness, fitness level is so good. It's because you're not only good at one thing, you can cross that discipline to other things, but the main target or main objective is that you're disciplined to do well in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Have pride in what you're doing. So yeah, I think anything that you can gain any kind of experience on or learn any kind of technical value, I think will come in handy.
Yeah. Thank you. I definitely agree. And I think that sometimes our students like to jump into I want to get into that higher position. I want to start managing. I want to start my own business. But, take some small steps, take some small goals. What can you do right now in high school? And also even thinking about what kind of college do you want that's going to help you gain those kind of experiences to eventually get you to your ultimate goal too. So thank you so much for that. Is there any other last questions? I just wanted to make sure that we do ask one last time for any other students. Other than that, I'm going to ask, my panelists, if you guys have any last things that you want to say to our students, please do so now. Otherwise, you guys can definitely go. I want to keep the students and parents a little bit longer to talk about just our resources at our district and within our high schools. So last chance for any questions. Trevor, thank you so much for your amazing questions. I really love that, and we got lots of insight from everyone.
I think the last advice I have is that just make sure you try different things, and that's a huge thing. I know we all covered that, but don't be like me. Try everything. Don't get focused into one thing because someone else wants that for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Ferdy. Thank you, everyone else. Yeah, Steph, please.
You got this. You got this. Don't stress too much about it. You can do it, and just take it, as we were talking about earlier, one step at a time, one bite at a time. You have it. You got it.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, everyone. Joel, Bang, do you want to say anything or just say goodbye and adios? Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I will catch up with you guys later, but we appreciate it. Everyone in the chat room, if you guys could just say thank you for just everyone for being here and all of their experience and insight. I really greatly appreciate it. Thank you. So yes, if you guys got to go ahead and head out, and I am going to stick around to answer some more questions and talk a little bit more about our resources at our district. Thank you, guys. Awesome. So I'm so glad that there are still some more students and families that are here. I just want to sort of know, I have a poll just real quick because I forgot to actually ask you guys, you know what? Oops, it's not happening. But what are you guys interested with in the business? And hopefully that, Futureology can, there's only, 3 counselors, but we are trying our very best to find opportunities for you. If it's not with us, talking to your academic advisor, talking to, your teachers. So if there's a subject that you really like science or math or English, and you want to be more involved in those areas, ask them, your teachers are great networks to help you out in that process too. So don't be afraid to ask if they have any connections or if they know about any other programs too. So I do have one opportunity that I think our juniors and seniors might like. But it's in the next slide. So a couple of things if you guys are trying to figure out where you're at. Maybe you're feeling like, oh, after this webinar, I need to reflect on the things that I want to do. So again, sometimes it is helpful to definitely talk to, friends and families. And sometimes it is also helpful to take some self-assessments. Some of you guys probably have done that in CCP and maybe you didn't take that seriously. I would say do that again, and so a couple of things that you can do. We are now having some more career workshops for you. So for our 9th and 10th graders only, sorry for our middle school students, you're gonna have to wait, but it's called Eureka Map Your Future. And there's about 6 self-assessments that you can do, looking at your values, looking at your interests, looking at your personality, and really matching some possible careers for you. It's not saying this is the pathway that you have to go into, but it's just allowing you to see your options so that you can say, hey, maybe this is something that I should try out. Maybe I want to start thinking outside of the box. So we're doing this for every other Tuesday at Cal Prep Academy so that you can have access to these self-assessments. So I would say do that. Juniors, we're doing that for you guys too. But that's going to be at every other high school on different times. So you're just going to have to register through our appointment page. And you also will get the same self-assessments too. So, and we would, in this workshop, we would focus more about helping you choose your major. So also choosing your major and making sure it's a right fit. Just like with career, you want to take the time into researching about, are these the types of classes that I see myself learning or care to have to help me with my goals too. So those are some assessments that you can do and some workshops. You can see there's other ones. If you guys want to know more about these events or workshops, let me know. So again, I'll also send you guys this PowerPoint too. With webinars, we do have some more stuff. So we have a career webinar called Reason for Being, and it is another guest speaker that talks a little bit more and helping you sort of understand different career pathways for you and also majors. So that one is on January 29th at 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. So definitely register for that if you want. We also have a certification education fast track your career. I actually like this option, even if you guys are planning on going to a 4-year university. This option is seeing what those certificate programs that are out there so you can start working right away or starting getting some experience. And so it's also going to be another panel just talking about their different pathway of, starting the career immediately after high school and getting a certificate versus a bachelor's degree. So that one will be in February 19th from 5 to 6 p.m. And again, you can see other things that are college and career related. The Ultimate College Q&A expert panel, those are just going to be some experts in terms of helping you navigate the college search now. Things are different back then when your parents were applying to school. So I would say definitely chime into that one, and that'll be on February 11th. Let's see, Christopher, is there a question? Is there happen to be any business management classes in the district that are open? Perfect. I will segue into that. So CCA CUSD-Advantage.org. This is actually part of our district right now. And it's just a screenshot, but if you go onto this website, you can actually see all of the classes that are offered by day schedule and after school. And so what I like about the after school classes is that if you're a Lisa Nagel student and you want to do a class at Dana, you can definitely do that. You don't have to just only go to your high school. And if you click on after school or the actual school, they'll show you a list of classes. So this is a little bit old, but here are the classes that you can take, and they're completely free. Some of them even actually offer you an internship. So if we hover over at the third one, it says business management and entrepreneurship. And that one's at Elisa Nagel. So typically it should be at the same school. How would you know how to sign up for that? You talk to your academic advisor. So this is for all students 9 to 12, and some are semester classes, some are year-long classes, some even continue. If you want to go into business and maybe work with animals, hey, check out a veterinarian tech class. And they have Tech 1, Tech 2, and Tech 3, and that one goes into internships too. So there are a lot of other things like medical/hospital careers. What's awesome about business is that what area of business do you want to go into? I say find your passion in that, or a field that you see that is growing, and try out a CCA class. Sometimes you can also take Saddleback classes. And when you are a high school student, we have a partnership with Saddleback College, so you can take these classes for free. So I recommend, again, talking to your academic advisor about planning these things out. If you're young, you're a freshman and you're sophomore, this is your chance to really be intentional about the types of classes that you want or the types of activities that you want to have within your schedule. So I hope I answered your question, Chris. Okay, so like I said, there are other things that you can do. Sometimes I have my athletes that are extremely busy and they don't have time to do activities within their class schedule or in the fall or spring. Take some opportunity to do things over the summer. So this one, we just got an email from Bank of America. And sorry, the screen is a bit small, so let me get my notes on this one. This is for upcoming juniors and seniors who want to take initiative leadership. So this one is awesome because it's a week long for students who want to learn about leadership in Washington, D.C. It's a free summer program. I think you just have to pay for transportation. And it's not just about business leadership. It's about going into leadership with an area that you would want to go into. So they actually help you network. They actually set up an internship for you. So you are learning about leadership skills within the industry that you want to go into. So the site is called bankofamerica.com/student leaders. Okay, so I'll try to type it in the site. And the website for the CCA Advantage, it's www.ccadvantage.org. Make sure you put that www because sometimes it doesn't pop up. But great questions. Also, I forgot to ask the panelists what kind of things that they listen to get, inspiration or to get their brain thinking. Those are the things that if you're wanting to try to think outside of the box, listen to some podcasts. We found this awesome podcast called Second Life, and she interviews people within the business industry. I don't know if you could see Lauren Conrad. She interviews her about the entrepreneur and the littlemarket.com. So if someone's in fashion, wants to start their own business, these little short podcasts can be really helpful for you. If you enjoyed this panel today, then I say continue listening to others as well. And sometimes it's as easy as listening to a podcast. So check those out. And I think that'll be helpful to, again, give you some more options and get some more advice within the field that you want to go into. I think that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any more questions about futurology, about business, or just anything in general before we close out? Okay. I'm sure some of you guys might be typing. But yes, go onto our website. You can also email me too. If you have more questions that's specific to the panelists, then I can definitely try to still reach out to them and ask them their questions. We'll have this recording here. We also, remember, we had a career series on healthcare. We also had a career series on engineering. So it's in our webinar locker. Go ahead and chime into those and you can listen to those recordings as well. But yes, thank you guys for your time. If you guys don't have any more questions, I can say goodbye to you guys. You guys can go ahead and say goodbye to me. I'll stay here on for a couple more minutes if anyone wants to ask their questions. Thank you again for just staying on and staying tuned with our panel. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, guys.